Right, so ADA hit our target, then had a bit of a flash crash yesterday and recovered incredibly well. So let's jump down into the most recent price action for Cardano ADA and give you my thoughts and opinions on where I think things are heading next. So as I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? Okay, let's get right down into the video. So our fifth wave movement completes within our target range. Our target range was set between 31.5 and 31.8. Then we moved down, and then we've rapidly moved back up again. Let's go bring that back into our target range there. Now, because one of the things I was talking about, I don't know if I still got it. I do still have my examples. Fantastic. Was a leading diagonal. There are three types of leading diagonal. No, that's not true. Let me get my words correct. So there's three types of diagonal: leading diagonal, expanding diagonal, contracting diagonal. Okay, and I think for the most part, this one right inside here comes in looking like a expanding diagonal pattern. Okay, and it completes quite nicely up in our targeted range. So looking at this, looking quite nice. It also looks like it ends with an expanding diagonal as well within the fifth wave in itself. Nonetheless, without all that nitty-gritty of detail, we see a nice three-wave corrective pattern to the downside, and then a very nice explosive move to the upside. Now, this move to the upside isn't exactly clear on the 1 hour time frame as to kind of what structure it sits within there, so we're going to drop down to the 15-minute. From here, we can see an interesting structure, but I do not believe that this constitutes a 5-wave pattern. But I could be wrong. It looks like it actually went 5 waves to the downside as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this, right? So the obvious area here, and I say it's obvious because there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. This is the obvious one, okay? And you can see here it hits 1.382 and then corrects down. Okay, here it hits 1-to-1. and corrects down. Okay, so not what you'd look for a reversal pattern to the upside, considering our diagonal at the beginning. However, there's a move to the downside here before we rally on up. So it's possible that we have a wave 1 here, all of this being a wave 3. This is a wave 4, and then we're still looking for that 5th wave movement to the upside. So if that is the case, let me go ahead and snap this in place, move this across to here and check. Here you can see we quite easily hit the 1.618. In fact, actually here, that's even more important. But our structures are a little bit off on the internal counts, but we'll check that as well. So that one looks okay. So let's take this to a 5-minute time frame. This is where things really start to get messy. But here you can see we moved up, we came down. We then moved up, we came down, we moved up. So we could look at that as a wave 1, and we can look at this as a 3-wave correction to the downside. We can look at this as a 3rd wave move upwards, and we can look at this as a 4th wave move to the downside. However, there is a problem here. Let's go ahead and check this one, okay, in terms of whether or not this is a 5-wave pattern or not. And it is not. It actually looks like a WXYXZ. So that looks okay. At the moment on the 5-minute time frame, it's getting rejected here, so we'll keep a close eye on that. But as I said, there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. It's quite a difficult read as to kind of which one is exactly what's going on. But to me, it looks like that might be the peak of wave 3. We come down into this wave 4, which is unusually deep. And then we rally on up. The alternative, of course, is going back to the 15-minute here, that we have completed the 5-wave moves within here. Okay, and that does give us a little bit of unusual activity just within this move. We'd have to look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to finish off an overextension. A possibility, I mean, essentially what I mean, guys, so you can be really clear, is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 like that, a big extension into the 5th wave. It's a possibility, but it would be a little unusual. Instead, it would look more likely to be the case that we go 1, 2, up here for 3, down here for 4, then we have to have the 5th. But again, it starts to elongate and becomes a little bit odd. So for the most part, I kind of want to say that it looks like it's done with the extension to the 5th wave. So we'll keep an eye on see what happens next here for clarity on that one. But in theory, if this is complete, then that's a big wave 1 for the next big wave to the upside. So our targeted range overall across all of these structures, and this is from this low point, which should not get broken. So our low currently sits at 31.1609. So 30.53 5343 in fact. So let's go ahead and pull this down to 43 right there. So that's our low. So our target range on a minimum scale would be just for a zigzag pattern to play out with a diagonal at the beginning, which would be unusual. We don't normally tend to see that. But a 535 essentially. 32.3 to 32.7, that's going to be the targeted range. Now for this to be a wave 1 and for that to occur, it would be very unusual. So we'd have to kind of consider that maybe we go for 33.5, and that becomes a big impulsive movement for Cardano. So 33.5090 right in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move that, and what I'll do is I'll tag this one up as the 1.618. There we go. So for the most part, that's kind of where that looks. And so that will become something like this. We'd have this kind of correction. We'd have this big move to the upside in here, where we'd obviously have to go ahead and hit that 1.618 target. We have a correction, and then we come up again, and all of which, sorry, it wouldn't have to be that high. It would be more like this, all of which basically becomes a wave 3 from the diagonal through to this wave 3 here. So a big wave 1, 2, and all of that becomes 3. Then we go down 4 and up into 5, right? And so we can start to see a bit of a path forward for Cardano ADA, right? And it looks pretty decent. It's got good structure to it, and so forth. At least, you know, we're quite early in that stages. So for now, that's kind of what we're going to be looking for here. We're going to be looking to keep good support. We have to stay above the area of 30.5355. We can't break down lower than that. And we'll be looking for good structured moves. So like I said, there's a couple of ways of reading this potential wave 1, which will become clearer in time as to whether or not we have a 5th wave and then a move down. But I think that would be a little unusual, but possible within the wave 1 area that we maybe do a diagonal based pattern, and it becomes a bit more of an expanding one again. And yeah, when we look for a big wave 3 and then 4 and then 5th, and then all that becomes a wave 3 in total. So on Cardano, on these 1 hour timeframes, it's actually looking pretty good, pretty encouraging that we hit our target range to the upside. We had a pretty nice correction to the downside, although very rapid, and then we go ahead and recover very, very nicely in a couple of different ways that could potentially be playing out. It's a little bit difficult. We need more data to kind of concrete that one in, but for the most part, looking very, very strong. Now from our daily time frame, it's not as strong. We are now above the 50 daily EMA, but we did get rejected from here, as you can see, on the 0.236 Fibonacci level. So again, not looking the best. I think this is a little off as well. So our high sits at 37.93. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. 37.93. There we go. So you can see here it kind of got rejected right there on the 0.236. Kind of hit it a couple of times, actually a major resistance all across that 31.84. So not looking overly the best here. So when it comes to that kind of idea of hitting an explosive move upwards, and hitting that 1.618, it's going to be quite a tough one. We can, of course, be looking at a series of zigzag-based patterns as well. So that's always a possibility that we're just looking at double zigzags and triple zigzag patterns, trying to give them more impulsive meaning when there might not be none. There might not be any there anyway, right? So just bear that in mind. Now, our momentum indicator on a daily time frame has corrected upwards without actually doing terribly too much in the way of price action. So basically just bouncing and finding support at 30.37 to 0.3 on the fib scale, up to the 0.236 at 31.84. You can see basically just ranging in this little area here, and that's basically correcting that stochastic RSI. So although I like to think that we have the potential to bounce up higher, which I do think we have that ability to break upwards. I think the possibility of that is slim on these larger time frames. Now coming over, I think, into this one on the weekly, I don't know if that's going to be the correct one. Yes, it is. We can still see that we have a bit of a challenge here when it comes to the downward pressure. We can see that we are getting rejected and have been rejected quite some time on our weekly time frame across our trend line to the downside, and right now is no exception. We're looking for a close position above this area, but we are below the 50 and 200 EMA, so confidence on that is quite low at the moment. But as things change over time, hopefully things will start to recover nicely. Now, as I say many times before, I'm still looking for further downside. Targeted range realistically is 15 to 18, but I like to think about just testing the lows for now and seeing what structures emerge there. As you can see, it's a C wave structured point to the downside, and it's just a 1 to 1.236. Nothing terribly too unusual about that. So that's kind of where that one is potentially going, in my opinion, at least across these larger time frames. I'm going to leave the video right there, though, guys. If you have found this useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description down below. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.